The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
I wanted to get to this, but since we've got a question about it, we'll get right to it. This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Kirk writes in, I saw Ryan Free was granted another year of eligibility and coming back to Texas Tech. Is Tech done with the portal in regards to pitching? Thoughts on Tech pitching next season? First, address how Ryan Free can come back and play a 6th year.
Well, he got the extra year from playing junior college ball, and then last season guys were given an extra year to go play at the Division II level. If they had those junior college years played or whatever, and they realized those guys that basically went and played went and played Division II, because initially it was thought they could only play Division II. Mm-hmm. That those guys ultimately could have played Division I, and so the NCAA, it feels like, basically felt bad about that, so they said don't count that Division II year. So he'll be back to play his second stint with the Red Raiders after a year at Angelo State. He'll play for a 3rd year for the Red Raiders, a 6th year overall of college baseball. And
he's a guy that you can use, right? I mean,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would assume he's right into your weekend rotation.
And he would have been a guy last year.
He could use last year, no question.
Yeah. I don't know how much of a difference it makes, but it makes a difference when you were struggling, with kind of how things were going. But that's a good hand to have back. Are there anybody else like him out there?
Yeah, no, he could have gone with Dex Dothie, who's his teammate there from Angelo State, who was 9-1 last year, who started his career here with the Red Raiders, but he elected to go to LSU. So,
oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah, he was really good for Angelo State too. So both of those guys, those were their top 2 guys. So the Red Raiders are lucky to get Ryan back, and as we all know, his mom's in the Ring of Honor here, or Hall of Honor, whatever it is, as a golfer, and played in the LPGA Tour, and his dad was a pitcher for the Red Raiders, and they are terrific people, and they love the Red Raiders. So awesome to have all 3 of them back, to have Ryan on the mound for the Red Raiders again, and I'm sure his parents will be in the crowd and for every game like they were previously, and they
like you, right?
They're great people.
Yeah,
I'm a fan.
They like you, and maybe they'll have you out for dinner on the road.
I don't know about that, but I enjoy chit-chatting with them every once in a while.
I was going to ask you if you chit-chatted with them.
Yeah, not a lot, but I'll 4 or 5 times a season say hi. What you're doing.
That's a big number. That's a big number.
Sure, I don't talk their ear off by any stretch.
No.
That's probably why they like me.
Probably so.
Don't bug them too much.
That's what makes you endearing, is that you don't talk anybody's ear off. And
I leave you wanting more, right?
You do, and that's
sure.
that's one of the things that you're supposed to do, is you're supposed to leave people wanting more. When I think I leave a conversation, I think people leave going, man, I'm glad there wasn't any more. I've had enough of that guy.
I don't know, man.
I don't think I'm endearing, Jamie. I think
you are.
I don't know.
That's why we have so many fine listeners.
I got a little feedback
on
my personality exam, and I felt like I was.
Was this somewhere like online that you could click and do a personality exam?
We were required to take this test. I guess you missed this conversation. Those of us that are in another department throughout the day required test that we took with regard to measuring our ability to, I guess, be good salespeople. So I kind of felt like I failed it. I felt like I was talking to a shrink when I was talking to this guy, and I kind of walked out of there going, I don't know if I can do this job anymore. My empathy level was apparently very high on the negative side. Said I didn't have empathy. Which I felt like I have a lot of empathy, but apparently not. Apparently my empathy level was described as a bulldog, Jamie. A black and white guy, somebody without a lot of patience. I mean, there were some things that were accurate,
I think the patience one.
Yeah,
that's definitely fair.
Yeah.
I don't know about the empathy one.
Yeah, I feel like I'm pretty empathetic.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that.
I'm sympathetic, and I feel like I'm compassionate.
I think you're more sympathetic and compassionate than I am.
Yeah, on some things. So, anyway, we'll see if I get to make the cut. Okay.
Well, we wish you the best of the work. Look, if Jeff and I get a vote, you're in. You're in.
Okay. Only because I can be here at 5:45 in the morning. Again, as Jeff and I discussed the other day, as we were talking about this, our best ability is our availability.
Yeah, I take a little bit of offense to that.
For me and Jeff.
No, for all of us.
No, I think you're clearly here because of your ability. Okay,
I chose to be here.
Yeah, right.
I chose to be here.
You're here because of your abilities.
We're here because of our abilities.
Okay.
Our abilities to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and get to work.
Hey, so to answer Kirk's question, is Tech done with the portal in regards to pitching?
I don't know that for certain, but I would guess not. Mm-hmm. I think that at this point in your sports life, you're always trying to tweak, and as long as there are guys that are available that you're interested in, you're always trying to add. So I wouldn't say that they were done at this point. That would not be my guess. I would imagine that they are continuing to try to work on that.
Because
there's about 2.5 million, I'm only exaggerating a little bit, more players in the portal. So if you want some of them, they're still out there.
Well, and it's as we know, if you have a chance for an upgrade,
exactly right.
You're gonna take that. You never know when somebody, gets disgruntled or a coach moves on, whether it's a position coach or somebody they were close to, or maybe you get upside down with the university in some form or fashion, and you're like, okay, I'm looking for a home. What's your fastball? It's 95. I throw it right over the plate every time, and then I got a slider and a wicked curveball. Speaking of that, Clayton Kershaw threw, because he was perfect last night for the type of guy. If a pitcher's going to be mic'd up, he was perfect because it was already in the game, and he's a guy that's, I think, pretty glib and wasn't tight because he was starting the All-Star game. But Kershaw's like, he wants me to throw a curve here. I don't throw a curve. That curveball was wicked.
That's what he's known for.
It was wicked. And then Smoltz is like, okay, throw a cutter. He's like, I don't throw a cutter. I throw a slider here.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Time for this day in sports history. Today is Wednesday, July the 16th, 2025. Here's Jeff McGuire with this day in sports history.
Going to start in 1941. Just as a reminder, Joe DiMaggio goes 3 for 4, hitting in his 56th straight game. Remember the Women's College World Series?
Yes.
It started back then. Joe DiMaggio's just been hitting since then.
Right.
Just been hitting.
1961. Ralph Boston of the United States sets the then long jump record at 27 feet 2 inches.
Okay.
1987. New York Yankees' Don Mattingly hits his 4th Grand Slam of the season and ties an AL record for homers in 6 straight games, on his way to tie a Major League record of 8 overall. 2017, Kawhi Leonard re-signs with the San Antonio Spurs to a 5-year, $90 million contract. That's the signing bonus now. In 2023, former Red Raider Danny Colomb gets his first save of the year for the Baltimore Orioles in a 5-4 win over the Marlins. It is National Corn Fritter Day. It is also National Hot Dog Day, which is celebrated the 3rd Wednesday in July.
That seems odd.
The 3rd Wednesday, or that it's Hot Dog Day?
The 3rd Wednesday. It feels like maybe the 4th of July is too busy for the National Hot Dog Day.
That should be Apple Pie Day.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing more American than apple pie.
Mm-hmm.
Happy birthday to Will Ferrell, who's 58. Corey Feldman, 54. Barry Sanders is 57. And Carly Lloyd is 43. And on this day, in 1969.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Tower cleared.
Here we got a roll program. Neil Armstrong reporting the roll and pitch program, which puts Apollo 11 on a proper heading.
And that heading would be?
The moon.
I was going to say Tranquility Base, but hey, it works there too.
Okay.
And that is this day in sports history.
Wouldn't you have loved to have been the voice of Mission Control? That would be... I would imagine that guy probably had other roles, but, I mean, he just calm, cool, mission sequence launch.
As cool as that would be, or to be in charge of mission control and doing the call for go, no go.
Yeah.
I still think the coolest position in mission control is Capcom.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not, it's a NASA employee, but it's not an engineer. It's not a slide rule or calculator guy. It's an astronaut.
It's an astronaut. Talking to an astronaut.
Yeah. That it doesn't matter if they've been to space. It's they are putting themselves in those shoes.
Yeah.
And it's I don't care what that guy in the room says. If I need to tell this guy that he's got a problem, I'm going to tell him he's got a problem so we can work on it. That line in the sand, that's the coolest spot in mission control.
Yeah, Charlie Duke was the guy that was on Capcom when they landed on the moon, and Charlie Duke himself would later land on the moon and walk on the moon. So it's pretty cool, actually. Going back to the long jump record, and I know that we kind of do this from time to time, but this is one that's really fascinating because we talked about the 100-meter dash the other day, and Jeff pointed out, well, if you look at the race itself and where you see Usain Bolt versus Jesse Owens, it's really not a race. But you think about Ralph Boston, who set the record a couple of different times. Let's see, in 1961 he sets the record, okay, in Moscow in the Soviet Union on this day in 1961, went 27 feet. He would set it again in 64 twice, in August and in September. So, and then he sets it again in 65 in Modesto, California, in a meet there, and he went 27 feet 4.5 inches. So it stays at 27 feet 4.5 inches, and then a guy from I don't know where he's from, Igor, he breaks it, and then Bob Beeman, he breaks it, but he goes like 2 feet further. He does it in Mexico City, and then the next guy to break it was Mike Powell, and it's been, Jamie, 34 years since the long jump was broken.
He must have put up a number that nobody's touching.
Well, 29 feet 4.25. I mean, and Bob Beeman went 29 feet 2.25. So think about all the technology and all the training and everything that goes into it. So Beeman sets it in 68. Mike Powell doesn't set it until 1991, some 23 years later. And here we are now 34 years later, and nobody's broken it.
I'm surprised they let the Mexico record stand.
Because of the altitude. Yeah.
And long jump is affected by the altitude. It's not like feet that's affected by, but that is definitely a benefit for that. There were a lot of records that were set in 68 that were,
68 Olympics, yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to count that one.
And Mike Powell set his record in Tokyo. So it's not like he had, altitude there.
I mean, Mount Fuji's not like, below sea level.
Well, yeah. But
there is a lot of Tokyo that is at sea level, yes.
Yeah, so I don't know where he was.
Also, there's some elevation there, but it wouldn't have been.
I don't know if he was in the mountains, at the top of Mount Fuji,
Right,
let's see how far we can jump here.
I don't know where the competition was.
I just think it's, I don't know, I kind of look at that and go, wow, that's just It's just kind of crazy when you think about that. So, 6:52 this morning here on the morning drive. The reason for having a hot dog day is for people to make hot dogs. Yes, we're aware. People are already eating hot dogs on the 4th of July, right? So.
Yeah, so they don't need to be told to.
Right.
Yeah, that's smart.
Right, yeah.
Have it a different day.
Yeah,
Well, today would be the day after the 4th that you're like, you know what, I could have a hot dog today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 6:53 this morning here on the morning drive. The Open Championship starts today, and 2 Red Raiders are participating, including Ludwig Ober. So we'll keep tabs on that. So there is something sporting wise going on today as the Open gets underway. So that's good. That's good news. And that'll be fun to watch to see how he does. He's not had the best of years. So see how he can do today, and see what that transpires for him. So good luck to Ludwig.
Yes. It starts on a Wednesday.
Oh, today that starts tomorrow. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. It starts. I was thinking today was Thursday. I got a little ahead of myself.
I'm your golf expert right here.
You are. Yes. Paul says this, Jeff. The average elevation of central Tokyo is 132 feet. I'm
average elevation, yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna take him.
I don't know where they held the Olympics. That's the average. Mm-hmm. There's just as many places below as there is above.
Well, that would be the mean. Okay, but yeah, you're right. You're right on that. So, but still, the fact that it's been 34 years since anybody's broken that record is
impressive.
Impressive and fascinating, right?
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
With Jamie Lent, Jeff McGuire, and Chuck Heinz. Here's a thought. Does Joey McGuire end up at TCU if we had hired Sonny Dykes?
Don't know. Completely possible.
I just don't think Sonny Dykes was ever going to get hired here just because of everything that went down at the end of Spike's regime, and it would just I just don't think that was ever going to happen, because there just would have been, there's still baggage left from the end of that regime and kind of how it went down, and the first sign of a struggle would have been fans would have jumped off I don't think it would have fired up the fan base. I just don't.
Okay, I get it.
I think the whole ox in the ditch thing would have been brought up again. And even though he and his dad, I think, are different personalities in coaching styles and stuff like that, off of different coaching trees, I just don't think that would have been the case. Being a Texas coach and the recruiting inroads he had in the state, I think Joey and his agent would have been smart enough to read the tea leaves that Wells was on his way out and would have waited for the Tech job to open at the end of the season. That's possible.
Yeah, I'm in 100% agreement with that.
Okay. I don't believe that K-State was about to hire Joey McGuire. He was a position coach. He was on a list at K-State, but I just don't believe he was about to be hired there. Okay. I mean, I'll just tell you this. I think Chris Kleiman's, if he had lost this game here, it would have been hard for him to save his job at Kansas State. But there's a case of team that was in a school that was patient, and it's paid off in spades for him. Mm-hmm. And that happens. That happens occasionally where you pull the plug on somebody too soon, and then as a result, it backfires on you. But in their case, he won a game that they found a way to win. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that surprised me about the Wells firing was it took until Monday afternoon.
Yeah, I'm with you. Because it felt like it was going to be, we were going to hear about that early the next day or whatever. And so once it got past Sunday, you thought, well, okay, they're not making a change.
Well, I mean, two things. One, it took forever for him to get into his post-game press conference, which was unlike him. And when I say forever, I want to say it was at least 15, 20 minutes. And I remember telling David Collier, I think we're going to see a coaching change here. He goes, now? I go, now. It reached the point that evening.
Have you ever seen a change like that after a game?
No. But I mean, but the circumstances of that game and what happened, when you're leading 24-10, then you don't score a point in the second half.
But with the build-up that came with that, because I mean, you have games like that where you just lay an egg in the second half, but that was with everything building up to that.
And I want to say, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say that they announced the South End Zone project, and they were at that point in time they were going to add on to the football training facility, or they were going to revitalize it. They weren't going to tear it down. They hadn't made that decision yet, but they had the big pomp and circumstance with Dusty Womble and everybody out in front of the football training facility. I want to say that was the Friday before the K-State game. I may be wrong about that. I may have my timing, but it was that his last year. If it wasn't that game, it was before another game, but it was right around that time period. Okay, but I just remember Kirby. I just remember the amount of time it took for Wells to come in and do his post-game press conference, which was unusual for him, and then walking out and seeing him and Kirby talking. I'm like, oh, that's an interesting conversation. Love to be a fly on that wall. And then they had. Then there was a time where Tech would have these Sunday evening kind of wrap-up press conferences. Coach Kingsbury liked to do Sunday evening because I think coaches
that way they could watch the
tape. But Cliff liked to do it, especially on the road. He would do it at Sunday night at like 6:00. And Coach Wells did some of that, but then they were doing Zoom after COVID, and they had a Zoom press conference on Sunday night after that K-State game for Matt Wells, which was, to me, I was like, okay, I guess he survived for the moment.
Yeah, as I said, once he got through Sunday, I figured they weren't changing.
But maybe the powers that be came to him and said, I think we're ready to make a change, Kirby. Maybe somebody who was going to have to write a check, maybe they got all the money together because they were going to have to pay him to go away, which they did.
The thing that I will always remember about that game, I set up the post-game show early that game because I was back in the stadium for the late part of that second half. And as I was leaving the stands and walking out with all the fans at that point, normally I'm way gone by then, the mood with the fan base was different then.
Yes.
Walking out. And I can't repeat some of the things I heard on the radio, but it was more than one time I heard somebody say, I am not walking back into that stadium if that man is our head coach. And it was the phrasing of it that I heard. It was different voices that said the exact same phrase.
It wasn't angry. It was just.
Oh no, they were furious.
Well, I mean, but I mean, it wasn't the angry of, oh man, I can't believe we blew that game. It was a different kind of angry.
I am not walking back into that stadium, and if that man is our head coach, the next game, and it was
me personally. It was, I will not let this ruin my mood anymore.
Yeah,
I cannot be emotionally invested in a team that I don't know if they're going to show up and care from Saturday to Saturday. So I'm unemotionally invested at that point. That game, that game broke me. I'm like, I'm unemotionally invested. If we can't, if our guys don't care to show up and play hard each Saturday, then why should I put my mood, let my mood be affected by that? Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't angry. It was sadness for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. And I wonder if Sonny Cumbie ever had any chance to be the head coach, or if they felt like we just need to have a completely clean slate here.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question.
Because kind of won a couple of games as a result of that.
But the funny part about that whole deal is, right? I mean, so what did we just talk about? That you scored how many points in the second half?
None
points. Okay. Well, hey, we got to get rid of our head coach. We get rid of our head coach. We're going to give him the interim job to who? The offensive coordinator who scored how many points in the second half?
None points.
Yes. Okay. That always cracks me up, right? Mm-hmm. We're going to get rid of this guy, okay, and we're going to give his coordinator the job. Well, if his coordinators were better, they probably would still have the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although,
if Cumbie's offense had put up a couple touchdowns in the second half, he'd still have a job.
Yeah.
Wells would have still been there.
Yeah.
At least till the end of the season, probably.
They did get it figured out in the next game.
Tied at 38, 3 seconds to go, 62-yard try. Garibay has his foot into it. It may be long enough. It is good! It is good! It is good! Jonathan Garibay has won the game with a 62-yard field goal!
Oh, you forgot the whoa!
Well, we got to get to the break here.
I know, but I mean but you're right. I mean, you get bowl eligible with that.
It took a 62-yard field goal to win that game because your offense got stalled.
Somebody says this, for me personally, the best thing during the Wells era is that I upgraded my seats each year to where I now have great seats.
Silver linings, man. Take them where you get them.
It was rewarded. Rewarded for, just stick it in there, hanging in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Mm-hmm. Then this Jay reminds us, Wells will always be remembered for kicking a field goal on third down. Yeah, that was at TCU, and I was at that game. I didn't understand that one either. That was a head scratcher. Sometimes you overthink things. We all do that, but we all overthink things. I've never been accused of that.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
All right, gentlemen. I think it's a pretty simple question for you today. We're talking Red Raider football. A season ago, you had a rusher in Taj Brooks go for 1,500 yards. Mm-hmm. Season ago, you had a wide receiver in Josh Kelly go for 1,023 yards. Which a receiver or a running back will lead the team this year as far as yardage goes? And then if you were to pick your yards from scrimmage leader, who do you think that will be?
From a running back standpoint? Or it could be either one. Catching, could be receiving.
Could be quarterback. If he wants to rush the ball and rush for 5,000 yards.
No, he's not going to do that. Okay. I think your leading person from the line of scrimmage is going to be Caleb Douglas. And you're not going to have... You might have 1,500 yards combined, but it's going to take at least two of them to get 1,500 yards combined rushing. Could be Joyner and whomever, fill in the blank. But I'll take Caleb Douglas, and I'll take him at 1,100 yards.
Okay. So last year you had Taj with 1,500, and then you had Jacoby Williams with 236, and Cam Dickey was right behind him at 225. Those were your top three, so they combined to get real close to 2,000 just with those three.
It wouldn't surprise me if, maybe it would, if Dickey, it wouldn't surprise me if Dickey and, who's the other guy?
Jacoby Williams,
yeah. We're each over 400, and if Quentin Joyner was around 700-800. Okay. Jeff?
Chuck is speaking too much sense there. Because as he's saying, I'm like, yep, that's kind of where my head's at. Yep. That's kind of almost exactly where my head. Now I feel like I need to change my answers. Because we can't be in lockstep like that. But I don't know that Chuck just said anything I disagree with. Across the board. I think you're not going to have 1,000-yard running back, but I think you might have all three of those guys at those numbers and have a better room. And, yeah, everything he said, ditto. And that scares me.
It scares me, too.
I think your leading yardage guy is going to be Caleb Douglas. Your yards from scrimmage guy, I still think I lean towards Douglas, but I'm really intrigued to see if at the running back position you are going to throw to your receiver or to your backs more, like we've been told. And so is Quentin Joyner a guy that will have 800 yards rushing, and will he have another 300 receiving, which pushes him barely above Caleb Douglas?
Okay.
That, to me, is the guy that I think is in question that could outdo Caleb Douglas in yards per scrimmage. We know Caleb's not, he would probably take a couple end arounds and get you 50 or 60 yards on the season rushing, whatever. But it's really just going to be his receiving. But if Joyner can be an 800 yards on the ground and a 350 or 300, receiving, that's probably higher. That's probably more than he's going to get receiving. I bet that number through the course of the season is more like 200 yards. So that's why I lean towards saying Douglas will not only be your leading ground or your leading gainer as far as his yards coming through the air, but also be your leading yards from scrimmage guy.
Okay. So
receiving and rushing combined.
Okay.
But Joyner's the guy that I think challenges him, if anybody does.
Okay. Yeah,
because we haven't seen much of the running backs used in the receiving game that much recently. So that's fun to me to see something different and see us do that more.
Taj was such a good blocker. I don't want to say you didn't let him run out there to catch passes, but you needed him to stay back and get those blocks.
He's more important as a pass protection guy, no doubt.
That is the piece of the Taj Brooks equation that I don't know who replaces. Who is the guy that's going to be the running back that picks up those blocks?
Oh, you're hoping the offensive line.
Yeah, right.
You're hoping you're.
There's always
some of that you needed just because your offensive line was so leaky.
But having a running back that can.
But you would use him as a lead blocker when you would go in those short yardage situation with Conyers in the backfield, and I thought that combination was really, really good in short yardage situations. I thought it was really good flipped too with Conyers as a lead blocker for Taj, but either one of them I thought did a terrific job as lead blockers.
I just think that I just think we're going to see some breakaway stuff with Cam Dickey. I think we're going to see some explosive plays there.
Yeah, and Jacoby Williams.
Yeah,
and Quentin Joyner.
Yeah, I just think we're going to see some speed there. I think Taj was 1,500 yards with a ton of carries. I think you could have guys that could have 70, 80 yards in rushing and 6-7 totes because they're gonna bust one for 30 or 40 yards because you're going to be able to. People are going to have to play you more honest because of your quarterback and what you're able to do, throwing the ball downfield, tight end. Whether it's Coy Aiken or Caleb Douglas. Hopefully Reggie Virgil's healthy. I think your tight end's going to have a lot to say about things as well. So I think you're going to be more versatile. So I don't think you're going to be as predictable.
See, my question...
And part of the reason you were so predictable was leaky offensive line, dinged up quarterback, and you were hell-bent on Taj Brooks running the ball.
I just wonder who Conyers' new high-five partner is going to be. That may be a question I have to ask in a press conference at some point because he needs a new high-five partner.
Well, he'll have to find one in the NFL because he's also gone.
Yeah. We need to find out who his new high-five partner is.
They're not going to know here.
They have talked to him constantly. He will have a new high-five partner.
He should tweet it out.
See?
Yeah.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Here this morning on the Morning Drive. Okay, so this is an article from on3.com. Some of this is also in The Athletic, and then you can also find a article on doubleTSportsNetwork.com. That's where you should go first because our brilliant people have taken all this together and put it in one fell swoop for you very easily. And you don't have to pay to get our stuff at doubleTSportsNetwork.com.
You do not.
We steal from others, and we that's probably not the proper way to say that.
Borrow.
We provide proper attribution, So
no, we're basically analyzing the argument, the articles.
Yeah,
we're not stealing the articles.
I was trying to be funny, so
yeah,
sorry.
We're analyzing what they're writing.
Yeah. So here's the quote. That was the wrong thing to say.
It was very much the wrong thing to say.
I'm sorry. I was trying to be funny, and it didn't work out. I should just stick to the facts. Okay. Here's the quote. Okay. The quote is, they have to pay 30% more to get the guys because of location. Other factors such as conference factor into Texas Tech paying a higher premium. The Red Raiders also made sure they were not outspent on any portal recruitment. I kind of call BS on the 30%, on the 30% more because of location. Do we really believe that?
I have no idea. How can you call BS? Do you know what they were offered elsewhere?
No, I'm just
compared to what they were offered here.
No, I don't.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
And the reason I say
the thought that the location is so bad now, and that you have to pay more because of the location of where Lubbock, Texas is or whatever, I bristle at the thought of our location is so bad, but we know we're nowhere close to a city.
Yeah, okay? I know, but I mean,
and we know that probably, probably with some of these kids matters, but I have no idea if we had to offer them 30% more or not. I don't think it's unbelievable to say that. Like if Texas or Ohio State is recruiting a kid, and I don't know much about Columbus, Ohio. I've been there a couple times, but I don't really know that much about it. Whatever. But if Texas or Ohio State's recruiting a kid and we're recruiting them, with their history and tradition, the fact of the matter is we probably have to. They win out on some of that stuff, right? Yeah, and so we probably have to pay a little bit more to get them.
If you want to say
that's not crazy thought to me.
If you want to say tradition and history and with regard to those two schools, no question. But if you want to say because of location, look.
That argument also has lost a lot of strength in the last 10 years here in Lubbock. Yeah. I mean, anybody who has left Lubbock and come back for whatever reason, it's a different place than it used to be.
It's way more metropolis than it was.
It's more the way I would describe Lubbock to somebody who has never been here before. If you live in Dallas or Houston or San Antonio or any of the major cities, you live in a suburb predominantly. You've got Walmarts, you've got gas stations, you've got movie theaters, you got everything that you go to in an area. Take that suburb and put it in West Texas.
Yeah.
All of these things make sense. All of what you were talking about, Jeff, is accurate. I think it's totally fair. But does it mean anything to an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid? They're not looking at those things, Jeff.
But
they know, they hear this city, that city, or whatever.
Sure.
And they've never heard of Lubbock, Texas. Heard of Lubbock, Texas.
But when they get here, that argument gets knocked out of the park.
If they get here.
If they get here, sure, but I don't know that it is harder to get people here as it used to.
It's gotten way easier to get people here, especially when you consider some of these other college towns. I mean, going to Ames or Stillwater or Manhattan or Lawrence or
that's one of the things
Boulder
that I feel like the ease of getting here. Being able to fly right into the city, which is not the case with all the other places in the Big 12 and others. Is that's a factor that I don't feel like is appreciated enough.
Mm-hmm. And Waco too, for that matter. Somebody says this: I believe we have to pay more, but it's because we're traditionally a 6-8 win team. Okay, Eugene, Oregon is just as isolated as Lubbock. Same thing for several SEC towns, but because they consistently win 10+ games, no one talks about their location.
Their history and tradition.
Yeah, and that's the point I wanted to make.
Outweighs it.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're talking about the cities in Texas that we are going against for 18 to 22-year-olds, I could easily believe that we have to pay more. Marquise says
I'll also say, how many people come to Lubbock and love it immediately?
I mean, part of the location may not be about, well, that's a bad place. It may be, well, that's far from home. Okay, so if you're
That's
talking
fair.
about Waco, or you're talking about TC or Fort Worth with TCU and all that, and you've got Metroplex guys, or you got Houston guys, or whatever, we're farther away. Okay, should that matter that much when it comes to you're going to be in a plane flight anyway? If you're in Houston, it shouldn't matter that much. But if you're in Waco and you know you can take an hour and a half drive and be home, and you don't have to worry about a plane flight, well, that matters.
Yeah, I mean, and look, and how many kids that are just going to school, that go to school here and they go to TCU or Oklahoma or Texas or A&M because I want to get away from home. And how many kids in San Antonio are going, I don't want to go to school and blah 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 because I want to get away from home. I want to, and that's part of college too. You want your kids to kind of grow their legs a little bit and experience new things and have rough patches and overcome adversity and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. It's still okay to go to school here if you're from here, but sometimes they want to get away too.
We're not worried about the kids that are here. We're worried about trying to get the best football players across the country.
I understand that.
We're not worried about Johnny and Susie from Coronado and Estacado.
I understand that.
Okay.
I understand that.
Do you have to pay more? Probably, to get the interest level of some of these recruits.
But if you win,
I'll also say that money
down.
goes further here. You're not having the expenses that you have in other places that you have here.
Also, not something these kids are thinking about.
But while they're here, it is of an effect.
It's more money than they've ever seen in their lives,
right.
and they don't.
And in some cases, their
they're not
parents.
Worried about the taxes in Lubbock or any of that.
I would tell you, in most cases, their parents too. Yeah. I mean, most of these kids are making way more than their parents will ever make in a 2 or 3 year time period, and that's no shot at anybody. It's just because of the amount of money that is being paid out. If you're paying some kid $500,000, how many people in Lubbock make $500,000? Well, it's a very small percentage, right?
I assume so.
Yeah, I assume so. I assume so too. So I don't know. I bristled at that with regard to that.
There's not much there, I'll be honest with you, that I bristle about. I feel like because of history, tradition, because of our proximity away from major cities, that we probably do have to pay a little bit more. And I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah.
If that's what the name of the game is now, bring guys in because we're paying them, then because we're paying them the most, then do what you got to do. Just like you would at any business.
Yeah, and here's the other thing: is how many times have we said, for whatever reason, that once they get here, they've done a really good job, whether it's football or men's basketball, they've done a really good job of closing once those kids have gotten here. Whether you're paying them more than everybody else, or
I think I'm sure the money is probably discussed before they get here.
Well, there's no question, because if the agent's calling and they're saying, this is what it's going to take, okay, and you're good with that because you're going to know.
Otherwise, they're not coming.
Yeah, you're going to know the answer to that question. But still, I mean, you still have to have the personality matchups and things like that. That you could get somebody here and they're like, oh man, that kid's a rotten egg. I don't want him around my football team. But boy, you sure can throw, Coach.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet973.com.